people who aren't part of this don't know what's going on with it. How would you describe this web archiving program to somebody else?
I would say that this program would show that we save like websites that we enjoy using.
Why? Not why would you say that, but why? What's the point? Like, why are you saying that? Is it just an assignment, or?
Because we want people in the future to see what we did and why we liked it.
Anybody else? Like, if you had to explain it to, I don't know who you'd have to explain it to, but there are lots of people who are aware of, web archiving. And did you guys know that before you got it as an assignment?
No.
No.
Did you even think about it?
No.
No.
Like, this is one of the questions we ask at the end, but it might be nice to ask now. Like, what do you think of the whole thing now that you archive websites? Like, does that change the way you web surf, or the way you go to?
Well, after I've been web archiving, I feel like I made history because I'm helping people in the future.
Can you say more about that, Jake? Okay, let's go back to it, because that's one of the questions that we're really interested in is in what way is this valuable? And we'll come back to that.
Well, and also, just like when you guys go home and you get on the web, and go to the sites that you usually go to, do you think about it differently? Not do you dwell on it, but just because of this assignment, do you look at websites a little differently?
I do. Sometimes I think if I go on a site, I'm like, oh, I did this and I archived this, and people will see it in the future, and it'll be saved for memories.
I kind of look at it differently because in say 50 years from now, people could be seeing this and saying, wow, Jacob Rocket archived this.
Yeah, everyone can see that people before were very interested in what the whole website was about.
Since then, I've really thought about the age of websites, how long they last, and how frequently they're updated. So that's one thing that I took into consideration while
Have you ever seen one disappear? Have you ever got, like, any sites you've used for a while and all of a sudden gone?
Yeah. Some news programs and stuff. Just sites that don't have a lot of visits and aren't constantly used just seem to go off the grid.
So what did you choose? And this is pretty much a personal, individual question.
The websites I chose were the websites I use every day, and then I chose other websites that my parents and family use. Well, my family and friends use.
Yeah, I chose sites that reflected me and what I like to do. And like I did a lot of social networking sites because I like to talk to my friends on the computer.
So can you give us some examples? And I'd be really interested, Jake, in your examples too.
Like AIM.com, Facebook, things that you could chat.
Games, like GamePost.com, Fog.com, Facebook.com.
What's Fog.com?
Free online games.
Yeah, I chose sites that reflected me and what I enjoy doing, and I asked myself the question, what do I enjoy doing most? And that was shopping. So I chose some of my favorite stores as the websites.
I also chose a lot of shopping sites because I like to look on them and then I go to the stores and see what I can get.
I chose sites based on things that express my interests and my personality, and sites that I visit a lot.
Like what?
Sites about different sports and biking and
Like
TV shows, movies.
Biking.com or?
Bike producers' websites like Huffy, Schwinn, Next Bikes, sites like that.
Mackenzie. The sites I picked were mostly in the categories of shopping and entertainment. I picked them because I use them mostly weekly, I would say. One of my favorite ones I chose was UGG.com.
Which one?
UGG.com, where you could buy and look at the new things made by UGG Australia. UGG. UGG.
UGG, I never gone to it. So,
It's footwear, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
oh, Uggs.
Uggs.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
so, yeah.
Did you guys know, I haven't looked all through everything that you gathered, but I noticed there were a lot of blank pages. Like, did you, once you started archiving the stuff, did you go back through and check to make sure it had it all? Or what was that like?
Yeah, we did. We wrote more descriptions on things that we archived, and we changed like different titles that we put on.
I think we had a lot of blank pages because the class might have ended and we forgot to do it the next day or the next week.
Did that happen a lot though, where well, we're going to ask you about the software and the whole process in there, but just when you're gathering stuff, did it happen a lot where, you know, it's a great idea to get UGG.com or Huffy.com, you know, but would you go back and check it and find that, you know, it wasn't all there?
Yeah, I think we tried to get as much information as we could for the sites, but sometimes we might have forgotten to put extra information.
So how could, like, the next time, if you had another chance, like, how would you make it different?
I would go back and make sure that I had enough information to explain the web page and what it was all about.
Instead of trying to archive more sites in a small amount of time, I think I'd just focus on what matters, the details about the sites and detailed descriptions on the sites, rather than trying to get numbers.
If I could go back, I would probably, instead of working on one website, like a class period, I'd go back to that website every day and see what changes, and my description could have been different one day, so I could change it the next.
What's the value of those descriptions? And I'm thinking about Mike's response to UGG.com and had to bring him up to date. Can you talk about how you decided what to put in the descriptions?
I decided to put things in descriptions. I looked at them, and what I liked about it, I put it in to tell other people what it was about.
So why?
What's the value of that?
Yeah, what's the
the
point?
importance of
Why-
that?
yeah, why?
So people can go on and maybe check it out.
And if you didn't have that information, then
Nobody would know what like the site was about.
Kenzie, you look like you have an answer.
Well, I picked the sites, described them by what they were through my eyes, and I found that worked out really well for me.
When you were writing, was there any sense of, you know, just even in this group of 5, you have very diverse interests. Any sense of Mackenzie explaining to Jed, for example, what's the importance of this site? Why is this valuable? Because Jed has talked about, you know, focusing on what's really
chat, right?
Yeah, Chad.
Chad!
All right,
Got it.
I think, actually, let me do this again. 'Cause we were doing this, like, Cheryl and I have been doing this for every class, and I flaked on this.
I got it.
You do?
I got it. I just heard wrong. Sorry. Very visual. Chad was talking about focusing on what's really important. So did you ever have to convince him that what you chose was valuable, or did you have any sense of that in your writing?
Well, I think we all picked our own sites that they pretty much described who we were or who and what backgrounds we came from. So if you had any questions, it would have most likely been answered in how I described it, because I described it as if I were describing it to the person.
Yeah, there was a wide range of picks over everyone, and so we all tried to describe what it was about if we were going to tell them what we thought it was about.
In our descriptions, I don't think we really necessarily worried about what the sites themselves contained, but how the sites represented our unique personalities and how come we visit those sites.
Now, you didn't have to put your name in there, right? You had your initials in the spreadsheet, as I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So did that help You know, it's pretty personal stuff, so it helped that, you know, people looking at this stuff archived in live archives don't, you know. Did it help that it was kind of not anonymous? You know, it wasn't like, you know, you could be more personal, but only the people in this class knew that it was you that put it together.
Yeah, that helped, but a lot of us we saw on the spreadsheet were archiving some of the same sites. I think there was like a handful of people that did ESPN's website, a bunch of YouTubes, Facebooks, common sites that are popular between people our age. There were a lot of copies of, so.
Yeah, both genders with some of the same sites, like Facebook.
TV shows.
Yeah.
But some people also put different ideas like that other people didn't put because we used them in our childhood. Like I put Webkins because I used that in my childhood and I wanted everybody to know what I did.
So you're thinking about reflecting the whole of your life to this point, not just 8th grade here at Moran Middle
Yeah.
School.
Actually, I didn't think about that, but that's kind of a big deal that if a site that means a lot to you, but you don't use it anymore, but if you're archiving stuff for history, you might want to get it, you know, while it's still out there.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that before. Was there a lot of that? Do you have a sense of how many people focus just on the now and how many people focus more broadly?
I think a lot of us focused on just the sites that we visit now and not necessarily the sites that we visited way back when, because some of us don't remember those sites necessarily, or those sites aren't still around, or that we think that we might, even though we did have our initials on the sites on the spreadsheet, people that we were working with could still see what we were archiving, so.
Cool. Did you see any other work? Did you look in the K through 12 program website and see what other schools are doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we tried to see what other people are putting.
Afterwards, or while you were?
I think while we were doing it, to get a general idea of what we were supposed to put.
Mr. Bogish was actually showing us like an example of it.
Because when it's the way we were archiving sites, they're not only necessarily expressing the way we are as individuals, but if somebody from across the country was viewing our program or our part in the program, then they would see how New England is as a region and what's popular to us now as compared to kids from California.
Did that work in reverse? Did you look and did you, like, you know, were you surprised by what kids in, and we don't have to name the states, but, you know, other states, would you like see a group of schools and say, wow, they're into that, you know? Did it work in reverse that way? Did you learn anything about any others? Not learn anything, but were you surprised by anything that you saw from other kids in other schools? Or is it all the same? Are you all picking the same thing?
No, there were differences and like things that we haven't necessarily caught on to yet. It's like sayings and popular videos across the internet and things like that. Things that are popular there that haven't necessarily reached this part of the country yet, or just sites that we don't go to as often as someone from another part of the country might due to their interests.
Like, say they have a different football team they would put down that website instead.
Other activities too. I'm sure like Hawaiian kids would probably put, you know, snorkeling and snorkeling sites. And, you know, you guys can't really snorkel around here. Cheryl, anything?
The last question I have for you is really, for me, going forward, the application for next year's program went live this week. And so I'm pretty deep into my thinking about what worked and what can I do differently to make this an even better program. So advice that you have, or advice that you have for people who are joining this, even if it's not a change, but just something you learned or that worked really well for you.
Some advice that I would give is more like contact with you and the people in the Library of Congress from us kids and not just the teachers.
I would say worry more about the descriptions because that's a big deal. And one thing that was kind of confusing at times were the seeds and the crawling, because they weren't time consuming to put in that information, but it was sometimes it wasn't all there depending on what site you were trying to archive.
So what would you want? How would you change that chat if you could? Like if you could talk to the people who made that site.
That process.
Site,
maybe put it all on the same page, or not have as many steps or broader topics on what you wanted us to include for the site descriptions and things.
And then the whole idea of missing stuff, being able to check in the next day and make sure that you got it all. Just about how they can help you get all the stuff.
I think everything was fine beyond that. I mean, for me anyway. I didn't think there was any other things that were a nuisance.
And it's Tiana, right?
Yeah.
You were, when you talk about more communication with the library council, it's certainly possible. What were you talking about getting email addresses and emailing like certain contact people? Or
Yeah.
having a wiki or a blog or something like that? Or what would you like to, or an IM? How would you like to do it?
Yeah, I would like to do it like if we could talk to you more and get more like information about what we're actually supposed to do and not just have our teachers tell us, have you guys tell us.
We can certainly do that.
Yeah, like what you really want on the description, like what you want to see, how much of a description you want, what you want us to include in the description.
As much as possible.
Yeah, so.
It's not helpful now, is it?
Like Skype calls and things like that, things of that nature would be helpful because we can't always get across our problems in a typed email or something of that nature. So like a face-to-face video chat or something would be much easier to get across any problems, or even just saying how much we enjoyed the program.
Actually, we could do that. We've got the video conferencing center and we could do it over Skype now. Can I ask a digital preservation question? So we've been talking about websites almost exclusively. Did the whole experience, and again, beyond Mr. Bogish's assignment, do you guys think about preserving other stuff, and not even for history, just your own stuff? Do you ever like look around, in your own life and wonder whether it's going to be around or what you could do to keep it? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Since the program, I've thought a lot about like pictures from my childhood and pictures from my parents' wedding and things of that nature. Just family pictures that are important and probably won't be around for my generation and the next. So I've just thought a lot about maybe preserving those so that they will be around, since they are very important to the family.
After doing web archiving, hold on, let me rephrase that. After doing web archiving, I'd have people start journals and have them be closed in a vault so they can be held in forever and then open in later years to see how was life then, what they had to learn, stuff like that.
Like time capsules. Like
Yeah.
electronic time capsules. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, I don't really want to think about having to see all my pictures just fade away and never see them again. So I've been thinking about ways to keep them around and pictures of like my parents and everything for the next generations to see.
So what'd you come up with? What are you doing about saying that?
Probably like a time capsule, just trying to keep things safe and preserve them.
But just in your house, like just with the stuff you have around at home. Have you been thinking
Probably
about
just try to keep them together and save them.
Although the sites that I visit online are important to me, they're not anywhere near as important as family heirlooms and family pictures and things of that nature. So I would want to preserve those and, any way I could to keep them from weathering or aging as they do naturally, just to keep them for any amount of time longer than they normally would, to show to my kids or any more of the family.
You guys, Mackenzie?
Well, I have thought about if things will be around for time to come. I know my mom keeps a hope chest which has all these little things from our past, like art from an art show or the first dance recital costume, things to give to us when we grow up, in hopes that we'll keep stuff like this for our kids, but you never know if it will stay around. So
That's what my mom does. She has all my stuff from when I was in like kindergarten, and she saves certain stuff that she thought was really interesting to show me when I get older.
So you're concerned about it. You're clearly, 5 of you are concerned about it. You're thinking about it. To start. You have anything?
I think this is a time for thanks.
Guys, thanks.
Really appreciate
Guys,
it.
got a lot of good stuff.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
We'll